Hey, it's me, Steve WB, and welcome back to my channel. And today is going to be another Super Ride S1000 video. And what are we doing? Another range extender. We're going to connect these Ryobi 5AH batteries, or 4AH, I have both, to the Super Ride S1000 to see how far we can extend the range. And this is how we're going to do it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is go over all the parts you're going to need to do this in case you're interested in doing it yourself. First of all, you're going to need, of course, Ryobi batteries. This one right here in particular is a 40 volt 4AH battery. I also have two 5AHs. I plan on using the 5AHs. They're just charging right now because I want to add as much storage or as much range to the S1000 that I can. The second thing you're going to need is this right here. And what this is, a 3D printed battery holder. I got the file from Thingiverse because people do use these batteries on e-bikes. So of course, this was perfect for my application because the battery just slides right into it. So all I have to do, if I want to add two batteries to the S1000, is to put two of these on my S1000, and that's the plan. I went to DigiKey and got these little components here. And what these components are, I don't know how well you can see them. They have, it's like the receptacle for the battery. I've installed a couple on this wire, doing some prep work for this video. And the way these go is, they snap into here, and that way when you slide the battery on, you have the little tabs in the battery. It will make the contact on the battery, so you can bring the power from this mount outside to connect it to our devices. Also, you're going to need a couple of these, and what this is a voltage regulator that I got off of Amazon. And the whole point of this voltage regulator is the Super Ride S1000 runs on 60 volts. These are 40 volt batteries. If I put these in series, it's going to give me 80 volts, which is too much and would fry the system. So my plan is to come from each battery and go into a voltage regulator, which is going to step the voltage down to 30 volts on each battery. And then I will connect these in series, combining 30 and 30 to give me 60 volts for the bike. So that's the plan. Let's hope it works. I'm pretty confident it will. I have done some preliminary testing, but I haven't hooked it up to the bike yet, so let's find out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect the wires to these battery holders. So let's move this stuff out of the way. And you can see I've already prepped a positive and a negative, and I'm only going to show you on one because there's no point in doing it over. But what you want to look at on this battery is you have a plus side and a negative side. So you want to see when it slides in, which side should be plus and minus on your battery holder. This side will be positive, this side will be negative. So this will go into this slot like so, and then I'm going to route the wire out. And then the negative will of course go on the other side. And then I 3D printed these little covers that are going to hold these terminals in place. Hopefully, it's supposed to. And then we'll just use a couple screws to hold this cover on. And there you go. I don't know if you can see inside, but we have our two terminals. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to go ahead and try to slide the battery in because I want to make sure that this is going to function. Let's get a voltmeter. Do not let these two touch. So if everything is connected properly, we should have 40 volts coming out of these leads. You don't want to really touch these together. You know, they could arc and spark. It's not a good sign that mine didn't, but let's see what we have voltage wise. And there you can see right there, we have 40 volts. So that means this is a success so far. Let's go to the next step. The next step is going to be connecting the voltage regulator. If you can see on this, you have the output, your adjustments. This is a voltage adjustment, and this is an amperage adjustment. And then you have your input. You have your negative side and your positive side, and you have an off-on switch. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect these battery leads into this. We will connect the voltmeter to this side, and then we will adjust this to where we need it to be. It might already be adjusted because I was messing with it to see if this actually worked, but let's do it anyway. Should probably have a terminal on this. Probably best to disconnect the battery too before you make any final connections. Okay, now that we have that connected, and so what I'm going to do now is connect my voltmeter, plug the battery in, and see what kind of voltage we're getting out. Okay, so that's plugged in. Let's see what we're getting in. We'll start here. 41 volts. I guess we need to turn this on. Then let's see what we're getting out. 31.6 volts, which is about where we want it to be. So the voltage regulator is working. And I'm going to show you real quick the adjustability of this. If I hold my voltmeter on there and then I start turning this little screw up here, you can see 32 volts. Go counterclockwise, you'll see the voltage start to drop. I'm going to dial it back down to 31. There you go, close enough. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other one together real fast, and then we will go from there. Okay, and so now for the moment of truth. You can see that we now have two batteries, two battery mounts, and two voltage regulators, and I have them both hooked up. You can see both red lights are on. The moment of truth for me is to see if I connect this in series, and what series is positive to negative, and then you have a positive out and a negative out. And what that's supposed to do is combine the two voltages, which is going to step me up from 30 volts and 30 volts up to the 60 volts required for the S1000. What I have to do is take this and connect it from a positive to a negative, and then measure my voltage on my other negative and positive coming out. So let's turn these off to make our connection. We'll go ahead and connect these up. That's the negative connection. Now we got to go into the positive on this side. And before I actually put this on the bike, I am going to have blade terminals on this. I'm not going to leave it just frayed wire. Now what we're going to do is we're going to power these up and test the voltages coming out and make sure that we're at 60 volts. And there you have it, 60.78 volts. And if I want to slightly increase that, I can, but I wouldn't go past, for the Super Ride, nowhere past 62. I would keep it at around 62. But I think 60 is going to be fine. Okay, so what we have to do next is we're going to finalize this, how it's going to go on the bike. I need to find some kind of a box that I can mount these regulators into, and I'm going to have to shorten these leads and put the final terminals on. So let's hurry up and do that real quick, and then we will sort out how we're going to actually attach this to the Super Ride, because we are adding quite a bit of weight. These batteries are pretty heavy, and the 5AH batteries are even heavier. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so we've made quite a bit of progress. You can see I have this little waterproof box that was originally made for a DJI pocket camera that I never really used, so I finally found a use for it. And you can see inside the box we have an input on this side and another input under these wires on this side, and then I have an output wire from here and an output wire from here. So input, input, output, output. And I'm going to just close this little box here to store the electronics. And then I have my two battery inputs, and then I have the output that's going to go to the actual bike itself. I may have to extend this. So the way this is all going to hook up, and I'm going to hook it up and test it for the first time live as you see it, so hopefully we don't electro boom this thing and make some sparks. And you may have also noticed too that as I put on my electrical connections, I don't know if you can tell in the time lapse, but I use the crimp-on connectors, but I also soldered them as well. I don't trust crimp-on connectors because some of you may know I do combat robots as a hobby. I don't like stuff wiggling loose because that causes fires, and you don't want any fires. So I'm connecting these two batteries up, and then I'm going to connect them to the wiring harness. One, and then we're going to connect the other one. Okay, two red lights. Oh, it's good so far. So let me find where I threw my voltmeter. And then we're going to connect here to the output. And we should still have roughly 61 volts. So let's see what we get. 60.78. I'm pretty sure that's exactly where we left it off. A very good sign. That means our upgrade is working and together. We still have the critical part of mounting all this onto the Super Ride S1000. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch angles. I'm going to bring the Super Ride up here on the table and kind of give you an idea of how I'm going to put all this stuff on there. So let's do that. Okay, so as the plan stands, I'm going to take my little battery holders and I'm going to put them on each side of the bike in the same position. So when this slides on, I should be able to just slide it in and it'll be attached and I'll have a battery on both sides. So let's line this up about where it's going to go. I'm supposed to put 2 bolts in it. I'm only going to put 1 because I don't like putting holes in my bike. It's a necessary evil, I'm afraid, because I don't want this stuff falling off going down the road. Okay, so that works. The button head causes a little bit of interference with the battery, but not too bad. So that's on there pretty secure. I'm going to go ahead and put the other side on, and then I'm going to show you where I'm going to put the electronics. Okay, so if you notice up here, I have a bag for carrying beverages, but this is now going to carry electronics. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to open this side pocket and I'm going to put a little hole through here into the main chamber of the bag and have the wire come out here that's going to connect to the 2 different batteries. That way, less chance of anything getting wet or damaged in this part of the bike. Let's go ahead and get that in there. So what I like to do is I'm going to heat up this screwdriver tip, and then I'll just burn a hole to the bottom of the bag here. And the reason why I do it that way is when you melt it through, it'll keep the ends of the holes from actually fraying and getting worse. It just kind of seals itself and gives you a nice proper hole. Like a hot knife through butter. This will cause you to lose temper on your screwdrivers, so if you ever do this, heat it back up, dip it in some oil, retemper your edge, or water even. It's a screwdriver. And now all we have to do is fish this down through the hole in our bag, and we'll put this down in the bag itself. If you notice, I have 2 different types of connectors here. This one will go to the bike itself, and these 2 are the battery connections. I did it that way on purpose so there is no confusing which wire goes to which. And as far as batteries, it doesn't matter which battery which lead hooks to. There's 1, 2, and 3. There you go. I'm going to neaten all this stuff up, of course. I like to take black tape and I'll wrap this all into a harness to where it looks like one solid wire. Then you can see this. We'll just plug this one in here. I hope this wire is long enough. It is. And now this wire is going to go, I don't know if you remember, let me move this camera a little bit. In a previous video when I made my first range extender battery, I added this pigtail right here. I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's right there, to my battery pack already when I had the pouch style lipos connected to this. That didn't turn out to be such a good idea because of the pouch style lipos ended up catching on fire in the house, caught my house on fire. I had to put it out. Luckily, we caught it early and were able to do that. But then this cord right here will just run down and connect to the actual unicycle itself. And I hope I didn't just blow something up because I did see a spark, but that will be all the connections. Now all we have to do is connect the batteries, turn it on, and see what we have. Moment of truth, I'm quite nervous. I have the battery packs on, the batteries are not connected. It is plugged into the bike. I'm gonna go ahead and plug these up, and please, let's not electro boom this. keep your fingers crossed with me, because if it does electro boom, a new motherboard is 250 bucks. So let's go ahead and connect these up. All right, they're connected. And let's turn it on. And it's on. So it seems to be okay. How cool is that? We'll give it a second. See if anything pops up. Come back. Turn it off. Turn it back on. Still working. Not too bad. Let's shut it off. What does that mean? That means we have to do a range test and see if it is actually working. We had no sparks, we had no fires, we had no serious pops, which is extremely, extremely good. Look forward to a range test coming up soon. So there you have it. That's how this is all going to go together. The next video I make is going to be a range test. We want to see how much range we've actually added to the Super Ride S1000 by doing this upgrade. So if you like videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like to get this video out there. I'm Steve WB, and I'm out.